Pocket doors are both the best thing about step vans and probably one of their weakest points. Today I want to talk about step van pocket doors. Pocket doors are both the best thing about step vans and probably one of their weakest points, both together. One of the reasons the pocket door is so useful and so popular for delivery vehicles is you don't have a door that swings out into traffic. So there's less chance of a door getting ripped off, damaging other property. You can fit into more narrow spaces. Parking on a street and be able to access onto a curb or out into traffic. All these things are much easier if you don't have a door that swings out into traffic. So step vans are really designed around that, and the name step van obviously comes because of the steps inside the passenger side door. So the sliding door goes out, and then you have these steps immediately inside, which makes access in and out of the vehicle very quick. So for instance, a delivery, UPS, FedEx, something like that, they're able to get inside the vehicle very quickly and outside the vehicle from these steps. Oftentimes these guys drive around with the doors open for two reasons: accessibility to make their deliveries inside and out from the steps, and one of the other downsides is they drive around with the doors open, no air conditioning, oftentimes with very limited heat, just because it's inconvenient for opening the doors all the time and closing them all the time. The downside with a sliding door like this, a pocket door, is that they're difficult to insulate. So today's video is about insulating pocket doors. Okay, you can see here there's a reverse handle. The handle part is on the top and the hinged portion, the pivot point, is on the bottom here. And you pull the pocket door towards you and it comes out of the pocket this way and then locks into place, and then you pull on the handle again going the other direction. So that's how the pocket door works. And inside the vehicle there is, as it implies, a pocket. Is basically a box that's built around the door, and the door has rollers on the top that it hangs from. So it hangs on these rollers on the top. It goes down this rail on the top on these wheels hanging there. Another downside with pocket doors is because they're hanging like a closet door, when you're driving around, or particularly in a diesel, this door is going to be vibrating all the time because it's just hanging on this set of rolling things. There's nothing really to hold it in place from vibrating a lot, and it's just aluminum on aluminum, which can be really loud. So when I'm talking about insulating the pocket doors, it's primarily for thermo insulation, for heat and cold. Not so much the acoustic insulation. That's something I'll be working on later. However, by adding insulation around that pocket, around that box that surrounds the door, you will be reducing the acoustical sound that goes into the inside of the vehicle. This is the pocket door back here. The pocket starts right at the edge, the back of the door here, and extends the same distance as the door. It's about 31-32 inches. And it's about 5 foot tall. So I'm 6'6". I'm quite a bit taller. But anyway, the pocket is probably about 3.5 inches in thickness. It's made of a sheet of aluminum going across here, and then up on top there's a channel going here. So there it actually has some depth that goes down here, probably by at least an inch. And then it's flat on the back side. So the challenge with insulating this is that there's no gasket, there's no rubber along this front edge to keep the air from going around here. So when the door's closed, there's only about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch I can feel around the back side of the door, and then the outside. So the air will just come in that side and go right around the back edge of the door and come in here. So insulating this thermally, you can't really get the air stopped from going around the back side of the door, short of putting in some sort of rubber gasket along this edge that would seal as the door slides back and forth, which is going to be really tough to do. What I've decided to do is to basically exclude the cab area from my thermal insulation for the most part. So I'm going to create a barrier, a wall, which is how you basically do it in a step van. There's a wall that will go behind the driver's head all the way across with a door, and then everything beyond that will be insulated thermally from the outside. And you're just sort of giving up that for the driver area, and then they maybe install a heater and somebody wears a coat and gloves to drive around, and that's about it. In the summer months you've got a fan, and sometimes you have some AC in more of the vehicles that are not of the delivery variety. I'm talking like service trucks or tool trucks. So if you're looking for AC and want to buy a step van, you probably want to start looking for those kinds of vehicles. Those are the ones that are more likely to have air conditioning units, which is a rare thing in the step van world because of these air leaks around these pockets and around the doors in the pocket door. So that's one of those downsides that you have in the step van. In this video, I'll be doing just the insulation around the pocket area itself. I'm going to put a panel on top of this panel here. It's going to be polyiso foam. I'll do 1 inch of foam, and it's going to be framed by some furring strips. So I have a furring strip that runs around the perimeter, around the edges, and then one that goes through the middle at 40 inches that'll be an attachment point. And then foam will be everywhere else going around the edges, this polyiso foam board. I'll confess I'm an amateur at this. I'm no expert. I am totally on the learning curve for all of this project, so don't look to me for an expert. It's just look at me as somebody who is a beginner who's done a ton of research to try to figure this stuff out. Now that said, one of the things that I dislike, really dislike about carpentry and building supply companies here in the United States is when they call a 2x4 a 2x4 and it's not 2 inches by 4 inches. And when you buy a 1x3, which is what these boards here are, they're not 1 inch by 3 inches. So it's actually 3/4 of an inch by 2.5 inches. So it's a totally different dimension. And that would be okay if they would follow this standard across the board, but they don't. When you go buy your polyiso foam, which is down here, the polyiso foam comes in 1 inch sheets. So it's 1 inch, 4 foot by 8 foot. And it's truly 1 inch thick. So if you're putting 1 inch thick foam up against a wall and you want to run a wood furring strip around the edge and you buy a 1x3, logic indicates that the 1x3 going around the edge is going to be 1 inch thick and everything's going to be perfectly flat. But that's not the case. It's going to be 3/4 inch thick. Your wood's going to be 1/4 inch less thick than the foam board. So you've got to shim it up. You've got to put an extra 1/4 of an inch on there. How insanely stupid is that? I just don't get this, except for maybe the marketing industry wanting to shave off an extra little bit so that they can sell something that used to be 1x3 for the same dollars, the same amount of money, and give you less product. That's my personal dark conspiracy theory about why this is. Okay, I've got some furring strips cut, and I have the little shim piece, the 1/4 inch cut to go on the top of that. In order to get these furring strips to 1 inch, I'm taking a 1x3, which is 3/4 inch thick, and then putting this other piece here, which is 1/4 of an inch thick, and I've cut these to size out of a larger piece over here of scrap, and then I'm sandwiching together using some wood glue. So that's how I'm getting these. I finished up one of the pocket door pockets, the exterior, with the insulation here. What I did was I made a frame with the 1x3s and with a 1x4 or 5, I don't remember what this, 1x6 I think is the center one. and then put 1 inch of polyiso in the center. I think it came out pretty darn good. Just need to finish up the second panel on this side. I am tired, and the sun is setting, it's cooling off, but I did finish everything. I got both sides panels, they look identical. Really happy with that. Thank you for watching. Savor the moment. See you next episode.